Twadaya Shri Ikadashi Brata Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Kula Churamani Sava Shastra Siddhantavit Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravistam Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhagya Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Samadvaita Vaishnava Mandali Ki Jai. Kol Kartel Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. So welcome everyone to our regular Sunday afternoon talk, broadcast live from the East London branch, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, London chapter. Today also happens to be Ekadashi, which is the 11th day after the full moon or 11th day after the new moon. Ekadashi means 11th day, and it is also known by the devotees as Madhavatiti, as the day of Madhava, Madhava's day or Krishna's day. And on this day we try to give a little extra attention for Krishna's service, try to reduce our own necessities on these days, so perhaps only eating once a day and eating very simple food, not eating so much, looking for enjoyment, utilizing our time for using the time for cultivating Krishna consciousness. There is a special day inaugurated by the Lord to give more benefits to the devotees, because generally we are all very busy in this material world, day to day, and rushing around trying to make ends meet, trying to put some bread on the table, trying to put a roof over our head, all of these things that we need to do in this material world. So twice a month some arrangement has been made by the Lord so that we can try to give our attention to Him and to His service and to the service of the Vaishnavas, and this way to make advancement in spiritual life. Let's just pop this round. So we are continuing our discussions of the works of our founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj. And at the moment we're going through the Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1. And today we are on Chapter 9, Faith in the Land of Sacrifice. So these are Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, are recordings of Srila Sridhar Maharaj's English talks, which have been edited and presented here in thematic representation. Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, published in 4 volumes, and the first volume, some available still. Second volume, we have many, but third and fourth volume, difficult to obtain. They're out of print, but you might find them online somewhere. So this is Chapter 9, Faith in the Land of Sacrifice. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is putting the questions, and Sri Ramananda Rai is answering. In this posing, the entirety of theological development was expressed there on the banks of the Godavari River. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is magnanimity and sweetness combined. And that meeting on the banks of the Godavari was the only time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his real identity. He revealed it to Sri Ramananda Rai, in that place only, and we never find it anywhere else. Rasaraj Mahabhav, Dui Eka Rupa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is both Radha and Krishna combined. The most secret portion of the truth was shown there only once, and we never find that it was expressed in any other place. So of course someone may say, well, he showed his form to Advaita Prabhu as Sadhbhuj, and he showed his Vishvarup here, and he showed his identity to the Brahmin, and like many people, he showed his identity to, but not his full identity, which is, as Guru Maharaj says, Mahabhav and Rasaraj combined. So Radha and Govinda combined as one. This is only revealed to Ramananda Rai, and at this place on the banks of the Godavari River. So this conversation we find in the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it is the you can say epicenter of Gaudiya Vaishnava theology. If you want to understand what Sri Chaitanya Dev came to distribute to the world, this is what you should study. And Srila Guru Maharaj, Sridhar Maharaj should say, I always come back to this, my basis of everything is this conversation. And really, then, some people say, oh, Krishna consciousness means re-establishment of Varnashram Dharma, it means this, it means that, it means so many other things. But if you really want to know what it is, you'll find it there in this conversation between Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Dev on the banks of the Godavari. And there he very quickly eliminates Varnashram Dharma. He says, no, that is superficial, go deeper. So, and many other misconceptions about what is Krishna consciousness. You'll find it in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, this proper line, the proper conception. And Srila Maharaj was sent to find that place and establish the footprints of Mahaprabhu there by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. At that time, Guru Maharaj's name was Ramendra Sundar Bhattacharya. That was his initiated name by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Ramendra Sundar Das. And when he sent him to go and find out where is this place and to establish the Padapit there, he changed his name on that day to Ramananda Das. And that place is, when Guru Maharaj, he found that place with help of the local people and the local historical records and so on. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came there and installed the footprints of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. And later on, the Ramananda Gaudiya Math came to that place and still there to this day. So, very sacred place. So, where are we? And that revelation of Sri Chaitanya Dev showed to Ramananda Rai, that's represented on our altar and the altar of all of the temples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. The whole cause of existence is twofold: the predominated part of beauty and the predominating part of beauty. This has been taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srimad Bhagavatam. Not power or force, but beauty and love is the prime cause. This is a new grant to the world which was never given to the world before. The prime cause of the whole infinity is beauty and love. And this is the speciality of Sriman Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we need not be afraid. Apprehension is a superficial thing. It is Maya, illusion. In the depth of our life's achievement, there is no apprehension. All is love and beauty. Our future is guaranteed in a most optimistic way. In the Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Srila Sanatana Goswami tries his best to take us through the path of gradual development in devotion. Prahlad Maharaj has been accepted as the basis, the beginning of pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, in peacefulness or Shantaras. Hanuman is above that in servitorship or Dasyaras. Above that are the Pandavas in friendship or Sakyaras. And Uddhava is somewhat in friendship, connecting with parenthood, Vatsalya Rasa, and consorthood, Madhura Rasa. In this way, adherence in devotion for Krishna automatically flows towards Vrindavan. The Acme is Vrindavan. This is also found in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conversation with Sri Ramananda Rai. Tebhyasta Pashupala Pankaja Drishyas Tabhyo Pisa Radhika. This is the 10th verse of Upadeshamrita. And the high devotion of Srimati Radharani is categorically different from that of all the gopis. The type of service found in her is practically unaccountable, inconceivable. Shruti bir vrimrigyam. The rishis, the seers, saw that the Vedic mantras were eternal. They are not creators of the mantras in the Vedas. They are only seers and feelers of spiritual current. They are only observers. The knowledge that is contained in the Shruti, the Vedas, is not created by anyone or anything. It is eternal and flowing. The rishis are onlookers and recorders, and that Shruti has come to reveal the fundamental truth underlying the whole creation. Still, they are only inquisitive of something. They are inquiring about something. What that thing is, they do not know. They are only searching for the highest revelation that ever came down in the world. They are only searching for that reality, but they have not yet come to its connection. And this is Krishna Bhakti and Braja Bhakti, loving devotion for Krishna in Vrindavan. And Mahaprabhu and Srimad Bhagavatam came with the quality of that type of adherence to the truth, unconditional surrender, adherence, searching and serving attitude, seeking such fortune of serving the truth. That type of faith in existence is such that if we can be only a seer after it, we may consider ourselves to be possessors of the highest fortune. We can really post ourselves in the path leading to the highest truth. That quality is the very basis and degree of self-surrender, Atma-nivedana. Whatever beautiful and valuable things we come across, we cannot but surrender ourselves to them. This is the criterion. If we come across anything higher within our vicinity, our appreciation means surrendering ourselves unto that. So according to the degree of our surrender, we have to measure what degree of quality of truth we have come across. That can be measured only according to the degree and intensity of surrender. or how much we could surrender to what we came in connection with, to the point of no return. And the true devotees know no satisfaction or fulfillment of feeling that I have it. They feel no trace of such satisfaction, that I have achieved it. Never. The inner sweetness of the truth and its infinite characteristic is such. It attracts. It can attract to the highest degree and magnitude. When some of the Brahmins performing sacrifices wanted their wives to attend the yajna, some of the ladies were on their way to see Krishna at that time. One Brahmin came and forcibly opposed them. He stopped his wife. No, I will not allow you to see Krishna. He stopped her body, but the life expired. The dead body remained there. She felt so much attraction to have a darshan, a divine glimpse of Krishna. Immediately a lifeless body stood there. The life vanished. Krishna is beauty, reality the beautiful. Beauty absorbs us. The Mayavadis, the impersonalists, say that the Brahman absorbs the individual soul so much that no trace of it remains. But that is an artificial conception of absorption. In the real conception of absorption, the existence of the seer of the truth is not done away with. He remains, but he is absorbed with life. He is so absorbed and attracted that he becomes one. Even maintaining his separate existence, he is always one, full of Krishna consciousness to the highest degree, and this is visible to the world outside. The oneness of the Mayavadis is of course crossed in the beginning. Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma na Sukchati na Kankshati Sama Sarvesha Bhuteshnu. I am one with Brahman. That stage is surpassed, and then Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Devotion is attained. There is a oneness in divine attraction, union, and separation in different leelas or pastimes. To maintain the setting of leela, the leela is maintained. Here, complete absorption and oneness does not mean that anything is annihilated. Leela is also eternal. The Lord's name, rupa, form, beauty, guna, qualities, parika, entourage, leela, pastimes, all are eternal. His relationship is a dynamic thing, not a static one. There is even union in separation. There is unity in every stage. The dynamic character of his pastimes requires unity. Otherwise his self-giving and the devotee's God attainment would have been impossible. When I entered Sri Gaudiya Math, I received Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's small Bengali book, Sharanagati, for the very first time. It was so sweet to me that I purchased several copies and distribute them amongst my friends. Its price was only 4 pice. It is so sweet, it touched my heart. I thought, here is Krishna. Krishna Katha talks of Krishna, is Krishna himself. Here is talk about Krishna, the Adhoksaja, the transcendental. I later composed a short commentary when I was in Nandagram, and it is published along with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary in Bengali. I wrote an introductory poem to the commentary of Sharanagati. Swairacharadi Samanganam Jivan Gorangahri Pankaje Udritya Sharanapate Mahatmyam Samabhodayat. All the conditioned souls are samangana. They are diving or struggling in the ocean of swarachara or pleasure seeking, anya bilas, immoral or whimsical activities energizing there. Gorangri Pankaje Udritija. Taking them out of that ocean, you put them in the lotus. You took them to the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga. You collected them from the wide, troubled ocean and gave them to the lotus feet of Gauranga. Udritya Sharanapatir Mahatmayam Sambhodayat. And so, having placed them there, you began to instruct them about the great nobility and high value of Sharanagati, exclusive surrender, Sambhodayat. You tried to make them understand and realize the efficacy of Sharanagati proper. You, my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, did so, and I bow down to you first. Then I also wrote a verse offering obeisance unto the writer of Sharanagati, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Admission of Sharanagati. When our appreciation for Sharanagati comes, we will realize that we have come into the relativity of a great substance. Otherwise, one cannot find the necessity of Sharanagati at all. Why Sharanagati? We want mastery over everything. Modern science, the exploitationists, the karmis, they want everything under their control. But this is just the opposite. And opposite to the highest degree. In this we shall find such a great and noble aspect of nature that we will voluntarily offer ourselves to be the eternal servant of it. I am in the relativity of such a magnanimous, noble thing. Sharanagati herself is reality. She contains Krishna within her boundary. Come to Sharanagati and you will find Krishna. The halo of Krishna is Sharanagati. Through Sharanagati you can approach the Krishna conception, but not by inquiry, not by barren inquiry, but sincere and substantial inquiry. And that requires Sharanagati. Pranipat, Pariprashna and Seva. Pranipat, first you must give exclusive respect to him. If you want to approach him at all, the first qualification is Pranipat. You must surrender. We are approaching a great thing, great in the infinite. And then there is Pariprashna, inquiry, to a certain extent. And then service, to be utilized by him. To serve means to taste the juice. Only by serving can we connect, feel, and have any experience. This is just the opposite of enjoyment and indifference. Enjoyment, indifference, and service. And this is service as duty. And there is service as duty and service as love. Loving service. Thus, service is generally of two kinds. Service from the standpoint of duty is found in Vaikuntha. Of course, that also fetches something. But service in love, service actuated through love only, is most amply giving. That gives us amply, and there is also a gradation therein. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhura. This is reality. In this material world, in the world of enjoyment, we also find the most intense enjoyment in lady love. But this is the perverted reflection of reality. But there, in the divine plane, in devotional service, divine consorthood is found in Madhura Rasa. There also, in that section of devotees, there are gradations of servitors. The Ramanuja Sampradaya, the divine succession founded by Ramanujacharya, divided into two. the 10 Kalai and the Bada Kalai sections. Vada Kalai refers to those who give more importance to the Vedic scriptures, and the 10 Kalai are those who give stress to the Tamil scriptures. They are known as Alwars, beginning with Shata Kopa or Nam Alwar. In the process of surrender, the Tamalian school lays stress on Marjara Nyaya, or the maxim of the cat. Marjara means cat. In the cat's dealing with her kitten, the kitten does not do anything, whereas the mother catches the kitten's neck in her teeth and moves it here and there, wherever she likes. The kitten is passive. No attempt can be seen on its part. He simply accepts whatever the mother does. She feels him, moves him, etc. This is Marjara Nyaya. The Vedic school, which was headed by Desikacharya, favor the Markata Nyaya, the maxim of the monkey. The monkey cub catches hold of the mother's body, and then the mother wanders and moves the cub here and there. But the beauty of the cub is to clasp the mother's body. So, the Vedic school says, you have free will. O Jiva soul, you have something to do. In Sharanagati, you have your part to play. It may be very small, but still you have some part to play. You are endowed with free will, so you must properly utilize your free will. And in the Tankalai system, they say, no, we've got nothing to do. We only need to think that we are his, and he will do whatever is necessary on our behalf. This is the difference between the two schools. The Vedic school holds that some action for free will is necessary. Your pure acceptance and consent is necessary, and the rest will be done by the Lord. But your consent or free will of acceptance, however meager it may be, must be present. This is pure consent, and the Tankalai section hold that we have nothing to do. Our consideration is nearer to this Badakalai school, the Vedic school. The Jiva has something to do in the way of cooperation or consent. Otherwise, how can the Jiva be a part of the Absolute? If the Jiva has nothing to do, then everything in God's Leela, spontaneous pastimes, and the Jivas are all dolls of play in the hand of the Lord. No doubt, this may be so in the highest stage of realization, but that stage is yet to be attained. In the beginning, one has to acquire such a position. Because the Jiva is part of the subjective world, he is naturally endowed with freedom. There can be no consciousness without freedom. Because he is an infinitesimal particle, his freedom is also very small, but still, because he is spirit, he cannot but possess free will. In divine service, that freedom is maintained. Otherwise, vilas, freedom of movement in pastimes, cannot be maintained. In Goloka, everyone is mostly actuated by the feeling of Yogamaya, internal divine potency. They are actuated by love, but still they have their meager personal consideration, and that is influenced by the all-good and favorable environment of the divine plane. Otherwise, how would they maintain their particular name, pastimes, and service? So individuality in the atomic energy is maintained all through. We do not deny the influence of the environment, but the environment cannot devour the personal character of existence of anything and everything. Of exploitation and renunciation, bhakti and mukti, renunciation is more dangerous because it holds a greater position than exploitation. It can exploit more, just as half-truth is more dangerous than falsehood. It can misguide the devotees more. It has its own special glamour over and above exploitation. It can capture the scholars. One who wants relief can think, oh, this is the conception of relief. There is no further. Renunciation captures those who may have been making real progress towards their good and tells them, yes, you have come. You have come here and you have succeeded. It captures them in the name of the higher plane. Renunciation holds some prestige over exploitation. People think, oh, that must be the highest goal. So in this way, half-truth is more dangerous than falsehood. Seidu era madhye vishayi tabu bhala. Mayavadi sanga nohi magi kona kala. The association of a materialist is preferred to that of a Mayavadi. If the Mayavadi can make you enter into the cell of Sayuja Mukti, the liberation of merging with the Absolute, then you are finished. There is no calculable time when you will be able to emerge from it. But if you are in materialism, Vishaya, the recruitment may come to you. You may get the chance of meeting a preacher in this material world, but in Sayuja Mukti you are nowhere. It is very difficult and rare to awaken you from the deepest possible sleep. So that is more dangerous, as half-truth is more dangerous than falsehood. The Mayavadi may even try to bring others into his impersonal conception, because he is suffering from that disease. He thinks that impersonal liberation is the highest, so he recruits for his own purpose. Yenyai ravindaksha vimukta maninas twai ashta bavad avishuddha buddhaya. They do not perceive the mistake in their calculation, but they think they have attained the highest type of liberation, and so they try to recruit others for their purpose. But this is a mistake in the calculation. There is a mistake in the calculation. They are not aware of the fact. They are misguided, and they are also help to misguide others. How can one who is not established in truth guide others towards the truth? If it had been possible for him to know the truth, he would have gone towards the land of truth himself. But he has no knowledge of it. He has miscalculated. Yam e vaishya brinute tena labha. But there is a conscious land, and whoever is accepted by that land can enter it. Otherwise, by dint of one's own power, no one can enter that land. The point has been missed by the Mayavadis. That is an independent element. The soul is independent. Matter is not independent, and the soul is independent here in the material world. But the conscious world is made of supersoul. The very soil is independent. If the minutely independent soul accepts that land, he can enter that land. Otherwise not. This is such a land. There is such a land. So the question of becoming a slave must arise. The highest qualification within us is our acceptance of a slave mentality for the Absolute. This is the only way to be earnest for the association of the highest existence. We must be ready to accept slavery to its perfection, and then we will be allowed to enter into that domain. Otherwise, we have no hope. It is not very easy to embrace a slave mentality, eternal slavery. Slavery is also our future prospect. Are you ready to think like this? You have to be so broad-minded and hopeful that such a higher entity exists. Your hope and faith will have to be of such a magnanimous type to enter that land. You will sign the bond, the contract. I am going to accept eternal slavery. I want to enter that land. You have to search your fortune and sign the bond of slavery. The association there is so high that even as a slave, I want that association. I earnestly hanker for that sweet land where my meager personality can become a slave. Such intense faith is necessary, where all other experience, even knowledge, fails. Only faith can carry us there. It is a very difficult concept for most people to embrace. Actually, the word das or dasi means slave. We say the servant, but actually the real meaning of das is slave.
So when people have someone say das, a slave.
Das means slave. Although we say, to make it more palatable, we say servant, but actually it means slave. So, when we hear the word slavery, we pull back a little bit, like, wow, that sounds very too serious and too kind of no escape from that. Because we know that in this world slavery means terrible exploitation, right? You see that. Like even you see when you go into a restaurant, you go to the bathroom, they have a sign in there saying, we oppose modern slavery. If you're being held against your will, blah, 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 come and speak with us, we'll help you, and all of this. So people are afraid of slavery, and so they should be in this material world, because slavery is the worst thing, the most abject thing, the most objectionable thing to give your liberty to another. In fact, I know a man, a friend of ours. He lives in Australia now, but he used to live here, and he was a magistrate here. And but when he was a young boy, he told me, he's Indian. He lived in India, and one day he was drugged and woke up on a farm as a slave. Now he was a slave on this, like hundreds of miles away from his family, his home, everything, and he was.
Is that recently? Or?
Like maybe 50 years ago.
Oh.
He's like maybe 70 now, so, well, in his 70s now, so, yeah, like 50 or so years ago in India, he was captured, and taken away, woke up on a farm and forced to work as a slave there with other slaves. And eventually, he and another boy, they managed to escape, and they, somehow or other, they got home to their home, and, that was a very terrible experience in his life. And this is not just in India. I mean, this happens all over the world. These people have, people who are living impoverished lives. They have, someone says, we can get you to this country or that country, and give us your passport, and they want some money from you, and the next thing you know, you're a prostitute in some country with no money and being beaten up, and like hell. It's hell. So, then this is what the images that we have when we think about slavery. And, we think about the subjugation of the black men and women in America. They were forced into slavery over there, then.
That's where it started from, isn't it?
Well, I mean, there's been slavery in all cultures all over the world, since the beginning of time. But in modern times, slavery was, that was the market for slavery in Africa. They capture the black man and force him into slavery in America, here in England. I mean, not until so recently. The film star Errol Flynn, You know, played Robin Hood and, you know, all these things. He had slaves in his house. And that was only, what, like 50 years ago or something.
And he was in the films in the 1940s.
Yeah, he was a big film star, but he kept slaves in his house. And I mean, you know, he was a friend of David Niven, you know, another famous actor. And David Niven writes in his biography, he tells about how he kept slaves in his
I think David Niven had slaves.
I don't know about David Niven, but he says how Errol Flynn did. But anyway, we find it to be an abhorrent thing, slavery, and but because that it means like exploitation, the greatest type of exploitation is slavery. So, but in relation to the divine, it's a different thing altogether. You know, so like categorically different. So, you know, we say like absolute power corrupts absolutely, but who is the absolute? And when the absolute is love, beauty, charm, and so on, we should have no apprehension about that. There are so many like mundane love songs, right? Like, I'm a slave to love. They say, there's one song. I'm a slave, I want to be a slave to love, you know? So there's another one like, who's that? I can't remember his name now. But anyway, it says, you know, like, my brother says to me, you know, like, she's using you, you know, like, and then he says, but if it feels this good being used, then keep on using me till you use me up. You know that song? Till you use me up, you know, like, so.
You told me who's that by, not
Huh?
You told me who's that by.
It was, anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's by, but
another one because some of them want to use you.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's another one. But
Yeah.
so you know, it's a common theme. But like, you know, this is Bill Withers, I think it is the person who says that song. If it feels this good being used, then just keep on using me till you use me up. So people are like quite happy with it when in relation to love. If my lover is going to use me up, I don't mind, you know, because I'm so much in love that let them use me. Let me be a slave to them. Let me be a slave to love.
It's two different things.
Well, not really. It's the same thing ultimately.
They like to be tied up with someone.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about that necessarily, but you understand the point that people are quite happy with using that same terminology when it refers to love. So Krishna is the ultimate love, and devotion to Krishna is always activated and inspired by love. So we want to be in the relativity of that love, and if that means to be a slave, that means to give yourself entirely to Krishna. So that is, you know, not something mundane, not something that's relatable in this material world. So, but it requires faith. Without faith, you're not able to accept such a conception.
You know, Prabhu, at the beginning you said Krishna was initiated.
Did I?
Yeah. What was that about? You said he was initiated.
I don't remember
Beginning
that.
of this chapter.
Krishna was in
Guru.
it.
Krishna had a guru.
Yeah, but don't think we talked about that at all. Faith in the land of sacrifice.
Beginning of the
Krishna's
chapter.
guru must have initiated.
Yeah, I know what to ask.
But no, it's not that.
Initiation. That's the form. I might be wrong.
No, I don't remember saying anything about that.
Gurus.
Yeah, but we haven't read anything about that today. So, but in any case, if the word was there, initiate means to begin something. So it may also be used in that way. In fact, that's what it means, really. Initiation means to begin. It's not the end in itself. And quite right, Krishna also had his guru, and that is.
Yeah, that's what he said. His guru. Yeah.
Krishna, that is so to show to us that even Krishna accepts a guru, then what to speak of ourselves? It is a prerequisite for real spiritual life. So, Shraddha, faith in devotion to Krishna, is the unit with which the whole structure has been constructed there. All is faith, the land of faith. There, faith holds autonomy. Everything moves through faith, not calculation, no robbing, no stealing, no cheating. This is automatic there in the land of faith. None of this nasty life. I shall always be alert that I may not be cheated in the land of so many cheats. Here I always have to be alert. I will be cheated, I will be cheated. This is a nasty life. So we must enter into a life where there is automatically no cheating, no calculation and no reasoning. All are good, all are busy to give you something. Here we are suffering from the opposite. But there, everyone is promoting you in your progress, pushing you towards your highest fortune. Such a land is there. To become a slave there is really to become a master. Whoever tends most towards slavery will be held by all as the head. Just as in love of country, if a leader is most sacrificing, he naturally becomes the head of the party. Sacrificing is his qualification. Generally, men have faith in one who has sacrificed much for the country, and they take him as their leader. But here in the mundane world, love of country is only extended selfishness. They will fight with another country, or for humanitarianism, they will fight with other minerals, or the vegetable, or the animal kingdom. They are constructing a great civilization at the cost of the vegetable and mineral substances. The civilized section are busy only to exploit nature, and they will have to be paid to the farthing to clear the debt. And their comfort is more like a loan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants his followers to be agents to preach Krishna's devotion to the public. Jare deko tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. Speak about the special prospect of the land of Krishna, Vrindavan. Shravana kirtanadinam bhaktya anganam hyagyane akamasyapi sarvapti praptayaiva haroviti. If one is not able or does not have the opportunity to execute the different forms of services to Krishna, if he has only Sharanagati, he will accomplish everything in the future. Sharanagati will give everything. Sharanagati is the most fundamental and basic substance in the devotional world. The whole structure of the devotional world is based on Sharanagati. Without Sharanagati, there can be no real entrance into that domain of service. Sharanagati is the very life and essence of devotion, so it must be present in all forms of service. Without Sharanagati, service will be a mere imitation, mere lifeless activity, and not devotion proper. Sharanagati is the first condition. Prahlad Maharaj has said, Manye tad etad akilam nigamasya satyam swatmapanam svusharidha paramasya pungsha. The whole gist of Vedic teachings is svatmarpanam, to give and fully dedicate oneself to the Lord. To give oneself is the substance of all devotional activity. This is also stated by Sri Sridhar Swami Pad in his commentary of the 9 basic devotional practices, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, etc. If devotional hearing, chanting, etc. is already dedicated to him, Only then will it get recognition as devotion or bhakti. Otherwise, everything is bogus. If I hear to fulfill my mundane purpose, then it is no longer bhakti. If I perform kirtan or speak harikatha to make some money, then it will not be bhakti. Whatever I shall do, it must be for him. This sort of bond must first be signed, and then whatever will be done on that basis will be recognized as bhakti. This is the foundation of bhakti. Without sharanagati, all attempts will be exploitation, renunciation, meditation, karma, jnana, yoga, anything but bhakti. The result must always go to the Lord. I am his slave, Nitya Das. I am wholly his servant, without any independence to keep my independent property. Whatever I shall acquire or whatever I shall do, the owner is he. Jivara Sharupahoy, Krishnara Nitya Das. Nitya Das means eternal servant, that is, slave. He has the right to make or mar, or do anything with me as he likes, according to his sweet will. So, whenever we perform devotion, hearing, chanting, remembering, with this feeling, that will be devotional activity. But if that is withdrawn, everything will go to hell. If the plank of the dancing stage is withdrawn, the whole show is gone. Therefore, with sharanagati, self-dedication, devotion is possible. Only the activity of the man of dedicated self can be reckoned as bhakti. He does everything on behalf of Krishna. He always takes Krishna's side, abandoning all separate interests for the fruit of his work. Consciousness of separate interests, Dviti Biniveshita, has made us separate from Krishna. The common interest is solely in him. Then only our service will be bhakti. Without that, everything is lost. Sharanagati must be present in order to have living devotion. Otherwise, hearing and chanting are only forms, not life. Therefore, sharanagati means exclusive connection and identification with the interest of Krishna. And Krishna is not directly seen by us, so we serve Guru and Vaishnava, who are dear to him. According to the degree of our self-abnegation and self-surrender, we will be benefited, and the specific characteristic of Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, or Madhura Rasa will develop, and there are also subdivisions within these rasas. In this way, the devotee will be properly located, but without sharanagati, all the formal practices will lose their life and will become something other than bhakti, either in the plane of exploitation or the plane of renunciation. But the plane of dedication is the land of devotion. By his sweet will, sometimes the attention of the Lord is drawn towards the most needy, and sometimes a more qualified person may be ignored. We cannot interfere with his independence. Why have you shown mercy in his case and not in mine? We cannot take him under law. That is not sharanagati or surrender. When we put such a question to him, we deviate from the position of sharanagati. We cannot expect to be enlisted even in the primary class. So what is the spirit of sharanagati? If you come to consider my case, calculate my position, I have no hope. I am such a mean fellow. If you come to calculate right and wrong about me, I have no hope. So I have come to that school of yours where only mercy will be my hope. I want only your mercy, but if you come to examine me, I have no hope. This is the primary necessity in our sharanagati, in our surrendering. Surrender means this. Surrender does not allow us to think, why have you shown grace to him and not to me? This is anti-surrendering temperament. No calculation. If you come to calculate, I have no hope. So if you can show me some grace, some causeless mercy, then I have hope. I have come to this department of the Lord by surrender. Anyone may have his voluntary mercy, but I may not. If I hesitate and think about justice, then I am already cancelled from the list. My name will be struck from the register. This is one of the finest points in Sharanagati. What is surrender, and what should be the quality of surrender? Marobi rakobi yoicha tuhara. According to your sweet will, you can make or mar me. With such understanding, we can go to surrender. Calculation is not allowed in that department of causeless mercy. Mercy may be extended to everyone except me, but I have nothing to complain about. What more can one give than this? This is the thunderbolt from the blue. To become Sharanagata, to surrender, means to leave all prospects. To be so emptied, I have no prospect. To be fully emptied and then to surrender. There cannot be the least application in the petition. Surrender means a clean slate. Complete dependence upon him means he can make or mar. I must admit my master's right to make or mar. I am a slave. Mahaprabhu says, Jivera Sharupahoy Krishnera Nityadas. This is your constitutional position. Have you enough boldness to admit it? Can you admit that your master has full rights over you? Yes, my master has the fullest rights over me. I am ready to go to eternal hell to supply his slightest pleasure. Such narrations, as for example, we have heard the story about when the gopis were ready to supply their foot dust as medicine to alleviate Krishna's headache. Such narrations we may hear as very sweet to our ears, but to accept it is horrible. Jivara Sharupahoy Nitya Krishna Das. No risk, no gain. Whole risk, whole gain. Such confidence is necessary. A free, clear, and bold choice. Are you ready for that? Krishna is not like a sweetmeat, that his price may be so cheap or so expensive. He is everywhere and he is nowhere. He may say, you all belong to me, or I don't care for any of you. We are inhabitants of that land now, and really by constitution, we have every right to serve him. It is the truth, and we must be bold enough to call a spade a spade. Can you accept that you are the eternal servant? You are a slave of Krishna, and Krishna is so dignified that even his slave holds the highest position. Krishna's nature is such that he does not hesitate to serve even his slaves. He is so great and magnanimous. Aham bhakta paradino ya ashvatantra yuva dvija. I feel my tendency to serve my devotee in such a way that I am not independent. I feel myself to be under their direction. This is the nature of devotion, or bhakti. Bhakti is infinitely more wonderful than jnana, knowledge. To know everything is a very charming temptation that makes one think that he has become the master of almost everything. But seva, service, is far above that kind of consciousness. Real knowledge particularly becomes your servant if you follow the path of surrender, Sharanagati. The infinite comes within the fist of the finite. Can you imagine it? Is it imaginable? Sometimes we hear about a great general falling into the clutches of a loving girl, a great dictator who commands a whole country's forces, may be in the clutches of a girl. Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa. And Lord Krishna, the autocrat, is controlled by love and nothing else. Divine love, prema, is such that it can control the absolute autocrat. Even he can be controlled. And this is the clue. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to distribute this. The Master of Masters came with this offer. This path will lead you to a plane where you will be able to control the Master of Masters. Brahma diye prema bhakti yoga vanchakare. Taha vilainuk sarva prakti gare gare. Mahaprabhu came as the most gracious descent. He brought such nectar, even a drop of which is aspired for by the masters of the creation and dissolution of the visible world, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. There we are, the answer. That's the end of that chapter.
What's that picture, Prabhu?
These are pictures from of our Guru and the devotees at the temple. It's in the middle of the book.
The devotees in the 80s.
Yeah, this was published back in the 80s. The time of Guru Maharaj.
You probably on there as well.
I'm not in any of these, no, these are the devotees living there, and at that time I was a visitor. So, well, anyone have some question regarding that? What do you think, Ram?
Saranagati is self-realization of the cause of it, as you're saying, without chanting or doing seva, without Saranagati means nothing, so that means through that you can't get Saranagati or nothing.
Well, yeah, it's true, but it means that the very life of those things is Sharanagati. So they in themselves won't give you Sharanagati. They have to be performed in Sharanagati with the that has to be like the foremost prerequisite of all of those things.
How does it develop if you haven't got it in the first place?
By association with those who do have it. Ultimately, that's how it works, you know. So, and the nice example that Guru Maharaj gives there is that the planks of the stage, you know, if there may be a dance performance, but if you take away the planks of the stage, the whole thing collapses. So, similarly, that devotion, the stage on which devotion is performed is Sharanagati or surrender. That has to be the reality of service. But it's true, when we're beginners in service, we're like, you can say, you know, it's called sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. That just means you're going through the motions, really, you know, going through the motions. But by developing the proper attitude, by one hearing from those who are Sharanagatas, and associating with a serving attitude with those devotees who are Sharanagatas, then that will rub off on you. So you'll gain the qualification to perform those services by performing those services. So maybe we can't really connect that at the time, you know. We're thinking, you know, oh, I'm cleaning these pots and everything, you know, like, what's this got to do with devotion, or, you know, whatever it might be. But you know, I'd rather be like studying the scripture or worshipping the deity, but even that if it isn't supported by Sharanagati or by surrender, that will also not be a spiritual activity. When Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave me my deity, and he gave me some instruction about worshipping it, but he told me, without surrender, it's just waving some burning sticks about, you know. It really doesn't have any meaning, other than a ritual, you know. But, so we have to try to develop the internal background, the internal understanding, and the desire for Sharanagati. So although we do not consider ourselves to be Sharanagata or surrendered, we aspire for that, and so therefore we want to associate with those who are Sharanagatas, that are surrendered. Because when we see the surrendered devotees, we see how miraculous devotional service actually is. And two, and that in itself shows us the reality of devotion. And two, we want that for ourselves. We want to aspire for that. Like Srila Govinda Maharaj says, if you have some spiritual property that I don't have, then I want to associate with you so that I can get that from you. It is not like in this material world, if someone has something that you covet, if you hang around with them long enough, you might get a chance to swipe it, isn't it? You know, or steal it from them, find out where they keep it and steal it from them. But devotion is the one thing that by giving to others, it doesn't diminish; it increases. So they say that about knowledge, right? Knowledge is the one thing that doesn't diminish by sharing; it grows by sharing. So devotion even more so. When we share that with others, or when we're able to imbibe that from others, it increases in the giver and the receiver. So, you know, it's a sort of symbiotic relationship, you know. One is feeding the other all the time. And so our desire for Sharanagati increases when we see the desire for Sharanagati in others. And, you know, especially if somebody's looking to you to imbibe some Sharanagati from you, and you feeling you're not qualified, you don't have any Sharanagati, but you see that someone has some faith in you, then you have to up your game a little bit, you know. You have to. We're given that example by Guru Maharaj of his godbrother Bhakti Goswami Maharaj, that after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, while he was still in married life, family life, he had some disciples, and one of his disciples was a brahmachari, and that brahmachari was so like pure in his habits and his practices and everything that finally Goswami Maharaj came to Guru Maharaj and he said, can't remain in family life when I have a disciple like that. You know, I have to like up my game now. I'll have to take sannyas if I want to be a proper teacher to him, you know. And that's what happened. Guru Maharaj gave him sannyas. So, you know, it's a kind of, we're all in like a work in progress, you know. So we met, you know, he may be on a higher level than me, but if I have some relationship with him, and I want some, you know, I'm always striving for some kind of mercy from him. Then if he's sincere, then he's going to have to like up his game a little bit as well, you know, and look for that mercy from those that he has faith in. And so this kind of this way we all benefit one another. Guru Maharaj says the fulfillment of a teacher is to see that his students are surpassing him even, you know. That's where a teacher feels his fulfillment, that his students are coming up to the grade, and if there are a few students, exceptional students that may even surpass him, then he feels like the purpose of his life is actually, fulfilled. So similarly in spiritual life, there's always this desire to go deeper, to go further, and not just for ourselves, but for those whom we're also trying to inspire in spiritual life. Otherwise, why do we have temple and classes and all of these things? We wish to inspire others, and we also wish to be inspired ourselves. Now we're reading this from Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who we consider, the greatest master. Then from him we can imbibe that the right attitude of devotion, and also he's giving us many warnings along the way, like, no, don't look there for it. This isn't where you're going to find it. You'll find it here, So this is all very good. It's all very helpful in our spiritual lives. That Krishna says that in Gita, that my devotees, they inspire each other by talking about my pastimes. They love that. They love to tell each other about my pastimes, my glories, all of these things. Tesham Satata Yuktanam. They find their real inspiration in hearing about me, in speaking about me, in discussing everything that they're inspired by. And this way Krishna's present there with that. Then Guru Maharaj is talking about the Alwars, or the saints of South India. They're famous in South India particularly. But there's one story about 3 of them meeting at there was like a religious festival, and they all came there in the middle of the night, traveling from their various places. So where they were staying, what quarters have been arranged for them, they're staying there. And it's, we're talking like in medieval India. It's not like electric lights or anything like that. So where they're staying, it's dark in the night. In the middle of the night, it's dark. So one of them saying, after, they introduce each other sometime, and then naturally, as they're devotees, they start talking about Krishna, about Krishna's qualities, about Krishna's pastimes, and so on. And then one of them says, so who's here? And he says, I'm here. And then the second says, yes, I'm also here, I'm so-and-so. Third says, I'm here, I'm so-and-so. And then the first one says, but I feel the presence of a fourth one here. Is there a fourth one here? And then they're almost like simultaneously they all concluded, yes, whom we are speaking about, he is also here. Because that's actually true. Krishna is attracted to hear his own glories from his devotees. That attracts him. We're not unsimilar, like if we're somewhere and we hear someone say our name in another room, immediately we're like, what are they saying about me? Are they saying something good? Are they saying something bad? We want to hear what is it that they're saying, So that's because that's within Krishna. When Krishna hears his devotees speaking about him, immediately he must go there to hear what they're saying. And that way, the whole thing becomes spiritualized by the presence of Krishna, because Krishna can't resist that. And then newer and newer and deeper realizations coming in this way. It is a wonderful thing. Spiritual life, spiritual knowledge isn't just ordinary gyan. Spiritual knowledge is Shabda Brahman. It means, spiritual substance. There's a spiritual substance. Not like the knowledge of this world. It is knowledge of another world. And it has a wonderful transforming effect in the heart and the consciousness of the devotees. It changes us. It helps us to transcend this material world. Not not helps us, it's the only means by which we can transcend this material world. Because otherwise, it's like the material world is like gravity, we're always, by nature, we're always pulled down. If there were no gravity, we'd all be flying around, wouldn't we? But the gravity always pulls us to the ground. So similarly, our material nature always pulls us downwards, always makes us think about, mundane things. And usually, it doesn't take long before those mundane things become dirty things, Then if we want to elevate our consciousness, we have to give some effort to that. We have to make some effort to elevate ourselves. Krishna says in the Gita, again, Krishna says, by your consciousness you should seek to elevate yourself, not degrade yourself. So, that's all well and good, and it's true and real and right. But the easiest way to do that is to find the association of the devotees. When you come into the association of the devotees, immediately your consciousness lifts up. Immediately you must begin speaking something about Krishna, hearing something about Krishna, feeling something about Krishna, something connected with Krishna, because the devotees are only interested in that. Then that becomes actually a catalyst for us to increase our spiritual life. It is, a kind of reward, you can say, that the devotees, the more they hear about Krishna, the more they want to hear about Krishna. The more they speak about Krishna, the more they want to speak about Krishna. The more that we serve Krishna, the more we want to serve Krishna. And not only that, we get more capacity to do that. We get more capacity to serve Krishna, the more we serve Krishna. And it's like that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, keep me as your servant, and if you want to give me any pay, give me more service as my pay. And so not just more service, but the capacity to serve more is necessary. As your service increases, then naturally your capacity to serve has to increase along with that. So, it's not that suddenly you find yourself so overloaded with service that you can't do anything. The more you serve genuinely, the more your capacity to serve increases. That's the reward of it, the dividend that gets paid out. So the more you hear about Krishna, the more you want to hear about Krishna. The more you speak about Krishna, the more we want to speak about Krishna. So, the Rupa Goswami says, that those who have come in real connection with Krishna's holy name, then they're thinking, just the name of Krishna is so sweet that just having one mouth is not sufficient. I need 1,000 mouths to be able to chant Krishna's name, and just one pair of ears to hear Krishna's. That's not enough. I need thousands of ears to be able to hear Krishna's name. So, there's we want more and more and more and more. It's something like that. It's so sweet, Krishna's name, and of course we hear that, but in our present stage we don't feel that. Rather, it's a bit of a chore, isn't it? Chanting Krishna's name in our present state, it's a bit of a chore to do that. But underlying that is some wonderful prospect of something joyous for that. Otherwise, why would we do that? We're not like sadists or something, Some underlying prospect of joy is there that keeps us returning. And that in itself kind of proves the reality of devotion. So it's not that we're, just brainwashed zombies or something, can't do anything else. As the the deprogrammers used to say in the 1970s and 80s. You might as well just be chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola as be chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But I mean, if that's true, then give it a go. I can tell you right now, you know, that after an hour, you'll be banging your head on the wall. You'll be feeling insane. Or at the very least, you'll want to go out and buy a can of Coca-Cola. but you know, you'll be sick of it in a very short time. So how is it possible that, you know, after 40 years, 50 years, we're still chanting Hare Krishna and happily chanting Hare Krishna? Because it has some life-transforming effect on us. We're witness to that. We're not just witness to that. We believe that. We feel that. And we want to share that with others. That it is Shabda Brahma. It is a divine vibration from the transcendental world. And even our meager attempt at that is enough to keep us going again and again and again, coming back for more. And still we're feeling the real taste for Krishna Nam hasn't come to us yet. But why are we still going on then after so long? Something is enough for us to understand that it's real, for us to understand that it's something sublime and something that's affected our life in the most wonderful way. Krishna very merciful. I even read Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said, even Namaparad is enough to transform the world. So, you know, that because Krishna Nam is so powerful that Rupa Goswami says, you know, that Krishna and his name are non-different. But if there is any difference between Krishna and his name, is that Krishna's name is more merciful than Krishna. Because we may make offense to Krishna, the Nam Aparad, and so many aparads or offenses in our service attempt, but simply by continuously chanting Krishna's name, even that will go. Even the aparad will disappear by the power of the name of Krishna. Even our offenses to Krishna will become finished by the power of Krishna's name. So, you know, in every time and circumstance, continue with the chanting of Krishna's name, and all auspiciousness will definitely come to you. So, nearly time.
You know the analogy we use of the kitten and the monkey?
Yeah.
You know, like the monkey thinks that there has to be some effort on the part of the devotee.
Yeah.
And I'm saying against, you know, if you're doing some practice devotion, right, it's probably a bit of both.
A bit of both, yeah. It's Guru Maharaj saying in the higher state, the devotee will be like the kitten, just moved here, there, at the whim of the mother, you know, so in the higher state. But in the beginning state, some participation on our behalf is necessary, you know, some willing acceptance, if you like. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, when he was asked about that, he said, it's just an example, you know, we're neither a cat nor a monkey. So, you know, they're just to give an example. We're neither of those things, actually, you know. But of the two, in our present stage, closer to the monkey, that we'll grab hold of Krishna and then let him take us wherever he wants to take us. And in the higher stage, because that's like complete dependence on the Lord, right? But that dependence isn't just indifference, you know, like, well, if he takes me, he takes me. If he doesn't, I'll just sit here and watch the telly until he does. You know? No. Have to have some willing participation. Another example Guru Maharaj gives is saying, like, you know, when the patient is like in a very, very extremely desperate situation, sometimes they have to make the patient unconscious. If he's suffering delirium or something, you know, then make him unconscious, then they can, you know, apply the medicine or whatever, the treatment that's necessary. And then when that medicine starts to take effect, then they can bring him round, and then some conscious participation. Okay, where does it hurt? What's, you know, like some dialogue between the doctor and the patient. But sometimes when that, before that, in the delirious state, it's not possible to have that. So some, in the unconscious state, some medicine, some treatment has to be applied. All right, so we can stop now. I don't know if Dayanidhi Prabhu is ready or not. Probably saying hello to everyone. Surrender Mohan Prabhu is there. Great. So Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswat Thakur ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Bhagya ki jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari.